So today we will cover where class, logical operators, comparison of operators between an operator, like operator, null operator, aggregate functions, group by having set operators. So let's start with the where clause. So the where clause is basically used to filter records based on a condition. For example, let me write the syntax. Select all from employee where, and you have to give condition. That suppose you don't want to see the complete data, you just want to see the specific information of a particular employee, or you want to see the uh, a, a specific information. So you can apply the filter here. So let me just give one example. Select all from employees where country equals to India. So this will what it will do, it will just give us those employees whose country or whose address is India. So let me just execute this command. So you can see we got the detail of one employee called Ramya, and the employee ID is 101. She she lives in India. So whenever we want specific data instead of the entire table, we use the where clause. We do have having clause, but having clause only work with the aggregate function. We'll study about that later in this video. So after where, we'll study logical operators. So SQL also provides logical operators to combine conditions. You must have read the operators while studying your computer. But in SQL, we also have the logical operator concept. So the most commonly used ones are and, or, and not. So let's start with the and operator. So basically, and operator returns records only when the both conditions are true. So let me just give you an example. So we'll write select all from employees, their country, India, and employee ID equals to 1. So let me run this query. So as you can see, it didn't give any of the records because the one condition matched. We saw in our previous result, we had employee who lives in India, but we do not have any employee whose employee ID is one. So, and when we are using AND operator, it should satisfy both the condition. If any of the conditions does not satisfy, it won't give any result. So now we'll talk about OR operator. So similarly, the OR operator returns records when any one condition is true. So let me just give an example by writing the SQL query. Select all employees where country equals to zero or employee ID equals to 1. Let me just run this command. So you see, we had one employee who belongs to India, but whose employee ID is different. Let me just show you the complete table so that you will get the complete idea what I'm talking about. Select from so see, we just have one record and we do not have any employee whose employee ID is 1. But when we ran this query, it still returned the result because one of the conditions satisfied. We gave two conditions where country should India or employee ID should 1. It returned us this record because one of the condition was matched. So now let's move on to the next operator, which is not operator. So not operators basically reverse the condition. So let me give you an example. Select all from employees where not country. Yeah. So let me just run this query. So what happened? We are saying give us all the record or all the information of the employees or so what basically we are doing here. So this query will return employees who are basically not from India. It will do the opposite. Now I will study comparison operator. So comparison operators basically compare the values. So some common operators are equal, not equal, greater than, less than, greater than or equal, less than or equal. So let me just write the operator and there. So these are the basically symbols of operator. So as we know, this is an equal sign and which indicates equal. This is not equal to. For not equal, we can use both the signs. You can also use these two, or you can use this exclamation and the equal to sign. For greater than, this is a symbol, less than, this is a symbol, greater than, equal to, less than, equal to. We have studied all these symbols from our childhood. So let's move on. Let's practice with this SQL query. Let uh, from employees their salary is greater than. So when I'll run this command, it will give me error because we do not have this salary column. Let me just insert few more columns and records in the employee table. So just give me a moment. So now I have inserted few records in the employee table. So you can see we have 10 records now in the employee table with the department name, salary, hire date, manager, job, and all. So let's practice that old query. So instead of employee, I'll write employee, and instead of salary, we have sal. Let me just run this query. So you can see now we have 5 records or 5 employees whose salary is greater than 3,000. You can see. So we saw an example of the greater than operator. So now similarly, if you want to see the less than, you just have to put less than. Executed. I can see we got all the employees who has lesser salary than 3,000. If you want to see not equal to, just see. Now we have 9 employees who have salary not equal to 3,000. Instead of these arrows, you can also use this exclamation and the equal to sign. This would also work. See, again we got 9 parts. Then if you want to say greater than or equal to, just have to put the symbol. So here we got all the employees who has greater than or equal to salary 3,000. See, we also got one record called David who has salary equal to 3,000 and all the greater salary than 3,000. You can also less than equals to. See here we got David who has salary equal to 3,000 and all the employees who has lesser salary than 3,000. So similarly, we can use these comparison operators. So now we'll talk about the between operator. It is one of the very important operator. So basically, between operator is used to filter data within a range. Let me just. So yeah, as I said, between operator is used to filter data within a range. Suppose you don't want to set a specific condition, you want to see the results set in the specific range. So let me just run the syntax. Give an example by adding a syntax. Select from imp pair is between 2,000 and 5,000. Now let me just run this code. Let's see what happens. So you got all the employees who had salary between 2,000 and 5,000. See, so we have 8 employees who have salary between 2,000 to 5,000. So now we'll talk about in operator. So what in operator does, it basically allows us to filter multiple values. So suppose, first let me give you an example with syntax. Select from employees where job and work analyst. Let me just run the screen. See, we got all the records of the employees who is either clerk or analyst. So instead of in, we could have what we could have done. We could have written where job equals to clerk and job equals to analyst. 2 times we could have given the where condition. But it would have taken more time uh, than the in operator. So whenever you have to filter the data or uh, you have to filter the data between the 3 or 4 conditions, you can use the in operator. So instead of writing multiple or condition, we can use simply the in operator, right? So now let's talk about in operator. So what in operator basically does. So in operator allows us to filter multiple values. For example, select from research job look analyst. So see, it's saying incorrect syntax needed. Oh, sorry. So we got all the records for all the employees who has job either clerk or analyst. So we would have achieved this using the OR operator by saying select all from employee where job equals to clerk or job equals to analyst. But instead of writing those many or, what we can do, we can just simply use the in and we can give the conditions. We can write the multiple condition inside the bracket and it will give the data uh, based on those conditions. Now we'll talk about the like operator. So the like operator is used for pattern matching. Suppose You know, in the company, we have an employee. We have not many employees. Call whose name starts with A. You wanna see uh, so now I'm gonna talk about the right operator. So the like operator is basically is used for pattern matching. It is commonly used when searching for a partial text values. So we have two important wildcards. One is wildcards. One is percentage. So the percent symbol represents any number of characters. So let me just get an example so that we'll get it properly. Select all from employees. Sorry, where mail like percent Gmail shop Gmail. So what it will do? It will return all records where the email contains this Gmail, right? So what percentage sign did here? So before uh, Gmail, whatever character is available, it it will give all the characters. After Gmail, whatever character would be available, it will give all it. Let me just execute this command. So you can see we got 7 records where which contains Gmail. See, so it captures all the before records and the after alphabets. Now we'll talk about the next our next wild card, which is underscore. So the underscores basically represents a single character. Suppose you wanna see the name like uh, uh, Anna, suppose Anna, which contains 4 characters, right? So you clearly not remember her spelling or her name, but you know that in her names N lies. So you want to see those employees who consist N in the third place and the first and second character and the fourth character. So let me just will get more clarity. Let me just write the syntax. Select from like. So one underscore for one character, one second underscore for the second character, then N, and then again one underscore. Oh, sorry, we do not have name. We have e-name. You see, we do not have any employee whose name consists N in the third place. So let me give another example. You see, you're gonna see the record for Neha, suppose. So her third character is H. So we'll replace this N with H. See, so we got two names. John's third character also contains H and Neha's also. So we got all these two records. So this was the like operator. Now we'll talk about a very important concept which is called null handling. So you saw in the previous video, right? When we do not have, uh, do not assign any record, any value for the particular record, it automatically assigns the null values to it. So how to handle null values? So first of all, we'll understand what does null means. So in SQL, null means missing or unknown value. Okay, sometimes might be a column, may not have any value. So to handle that, we'll use is null. So is null is basically used to find rows with null values. It will find those rows which contains null values. For example, so what it will do, what is wrong? What it will do, it will basically find those records which is containing null value for manager ID. Means where the manager ID is not assigned. So let me just execute this command. So we do not have column called manager ID in the employee table. So let me just, we can say, so instead of manager ID, this column manager contains null values. So instead of manager ID, we can say manager. Oh, sorry. Yeah, input table. So you get all the records where manager ID is null. So we do not, the does not have any manager. Neha also does not have any manager. Now I will talk about the aggregate function. So what does aggregate function do? It basically perform calculation on multiple rows, and the some common aggregate functions are count, sum, average, max, min. So let me just write it down. And what is does? Counts. And we have sum. As the name suggests, it gives us total value. And we have average. Similarly, as we have in mathematics, it gives us average of the value. Then we have max, same, relative, maximum value. And last, we have min. You, you guys must have understood. It will give minimum. So let me just type out the SQL syntax. Like comma, salary from employees. So what it did, it basically summed up, it gave us the total salary of all the employees. So similarly, if you want to see the average salary, let me just show you the table first. Select. So we have total 10 records, 10 employees, and we have a salary column, and different employee has different salary. Suppose you wanna see the average salary. So what we'll do, we'll just in days of sum, we'll use average. And what it will do, it will give us the average of the complete salary, which is 3,860. Similarly, if you want to see max salary, you just have to, instead of average, you just write down max, min, or if you want to count the rows, you can just see we have 10 rows of salary. So count basically we use to see the count of the records. Let me see. So as you saw, we had 10 records in the employee table. So it gave us 10. So now next we'll talk about group by function, which is a very important function. So group by is basically a clause. So what is the use of group by? It basically used to group rows that have the same values. What does it mean? Let's understand it practically. Select job. Yeah, and one more thing, group by will only work with the will only group the aggregate function. So let me just count count all from employee, and now the last we have to give group by job. So except this count all, whatever column we are going to select, we have to keep that in the group by with the group by condition. So here what this query is doing, that we'll understand later. So here what the group by is exactly doing, what it is grouping the different jobs. So we had analyst, clerk, manager, salesman, and based on that, it gave us count. So we have three employees who is analyst, we have three employees who is clerk, we have two employees who is manager, and two are salesman. So I hope you understood the concept of group by. It is a very important concept. So suppose with job, I want to see salary. Okay. So what we'll have to do here, we have to assign salary also. Okay. So accept all the columns. Then the aggregate function, we have to assign all the columns here in the group by C. So we have one clerk whose salary is 2000, one different employee who is again a clerk and have salary 21,000. If suppose these two employees would have same salary, here we would have got two, number of records would be two. But here every employee has different salary, that's why it came as 11111. But suppose these two managers had same salary, 6,000, 6,000, then we would have got two records. Here the count would have two. And if suppose these three analysts would have same salary, then here we would have got three as a count. And suppose these two analysts would have same salary, but these would have different, then we would have got analyst 4,500 and then two, then analyst 4,700 and then one. I hope you understood the concept of group by. Now we'll talk about having clause. Having clause. So having clause is used to again the filter grouped data. Let me just write the syntax down. Select job number of salary employed by job and having sum of salary is greater than 5,000. So let me just explain with this. So what it will do basically, first it will go to the employee table, then it will look for the job and salary. No, sorry. First it will go to the employee table, then it will group the job, and then it will sum the salary, where the salary is greater than 5,000, right? So instead of where could also have done the same. But why did we use having? But because having is used with the aggregate function, having is used to filter group data. So that's why whenever you will use group by, we'll use having instead of where. Okay, and where won't give you the correct where won't work with the group by. If you want to use where, you'll have to use it before the group by. So that we'll talk about later in detail. So it's saying the incorrect syntax near. Oh, so see, we got all the employees whose job is analyst, clerk, manager, and salary is greater than 5,000. Suppose with the job, we want to see the employee name also. So we'll add e name. And then what we'll have to do? We also have to include this e name in the group by section. If we won't do, then what happened? Let's just see that. So what it will say, it will throw error that from employee e-name is invalid in the select list because it is not contained in either an aggregate function or the group by. It means either the e-name should have in the aggregate function, means count, sum, max average, or it should have inside group by. So when we'll add e-name here, see. this query will work. See? So now he got employee name, job, and their salary. Now next we'll talk about set operators. So set operators combine result from the multiple queries. So we have four types of common operators, which are union, union all, intersect, except. So let's understand the first one, which is union. So what union does, it basically combines result and remove duplicates. So what does it mean? So let me just show you practically. On from employees, right? Let me just execute it. Okay, we have one record and select all from imp. We have 10 records. Now perform union. Yeah, we did not get any of the records because here is one limitation. When we are performing union in the two tables, it should have same table structure. It means whatever columns and data types we have in this employee table, it should also, the same structure should have in the employees table. So for that, we'll create one new table with the same data structure called table. Create table employee detail. Okay. And we have the same table structure. We have employee name, name, job, manager, added, and the same data type. Okay. And insert the records. So instead of 10, what we'll do, we'll just insert the 5 records. And here, employee detail. Oh, sorry, I can't execute this command. Yeah. Select all from employee detail. We'll see there is no value yet. See the table. we just have the table structure, but we do not have any value in it. So now we'll insert these values. We'll just have the 5 records. Now, now you can see we have 5 records in this table. Now we'll perform union. So let's understand this. What happened? As I said, union will combine result and remove duplicates. If we have any duplicate records, then it won't give that. Let's understand it. Again, we'll insert. We already inserted these values in the employee detail. See, we have these 5 records, but again, we'll insert these values. Okay. So we have primary key constant. That's why it's not inserting duplicate keys, duplicate values. See, employee number is primary. Employee number we have assigned the primary key constant. So as we understood in our previous class, if we assign the primary key constraint, we cannot insert the duplicate record, and the all record must have unique, or it could not contain any null values. So that's why we are unable to again insert these values. So I'll just tweak this one. So instead of Rahul, I'll make it. So no, I'll make it 102. Sorry, 106. There. I just. Oh, sorry. Additional primary key but not insert duplicate key object. The duplicate key the same having to. Do we have this one? Oh, let me just run this command. So we do not. Okay. Employee number. Employee number is having primary key. So we have to change here the employee number. 6, 7. See, 2 rows affected. Now we'll just see the data. So now we have 7 records with the same name. Now what we'll do, select just E name. See, we got 10 records. We should have gotten in the employee detail table, we had 7 records, and in the employee table, we have 10 records. But still, we got 7 records. So let's decode this. What happened exactly? So we got Anita, Arjun, David, John, Karan, Neha, Priya, Rahul, Ravi, Sophia. So instead of union, let's perform union now. Instantly, you will get what is happening here. So now As soon we performed union all, we got 17 records. It means 10 records from the employee table and the 7 records from the employee detail table. I are you getting my point? So union all does not eliminate the duplicate value. See, we have Rahul here, we have Rahul, Priya, then John, David. So we have all the duplicates value from both the tables. It doesn't eliminate the duplicate one, but what union does, it eliminates if first I will look in the employee detail table. The name has Anita. If again in the employee table it has Anita, it won't select that value. I hope you got my point. So similarly, it will look in the employee detail table. The employee name has Karan, and again it will look in the employee table. And if it has Karan, it won't select that Karan from the employee. It will only select the unique records from both the table. I hope you got the point, and you also got the concept of union all. So union combines result and remove duplicates, whereas union all combines result but keeps duplicates. Now we'll talk about intersect. What intersect does? Intersect returns only common records from both tables. It only returns the common records. So let me just instead of Rahul. Okay, we'll do intersect. Now let's see what happens. So it gave us only 5 records. Why? See, select Ina from employee data. We had 7 records. Rahul, Priya, John, David, Anita, Rahul, Priya. Okay. And then in employee we have 10 records. Rahul, Priya, John, David, Anita. But when we did intersect, when we performed intersect, it only gave us the common values, common name from the employee detail and employee. So the names which is there in the employee detail and the names which are there in the employee table, it will only return those names. So now we'll talk about except. So what except basically does, it will return record that exists in the first table but not in the second table. So intersect will give you the common records, but except will give you the records which exist in the first table but not in the second table. So let me wait. So what intersect will do? So it will give you the common records, okay? These common records. But whereas except what except will do, it will give you, sorry about the drawing, it will give you the records which exist in the first table, not in the second table. Okay, so let's understand this practically. copy this one. We will write except and run the script. We got nothing because all the records which are there in the employee detail, all the names which are there in employee detail are available in the employee table. So to understand this, let's select all. So we have all these names in the employee detail. Let's add one record. Insert into employee detail values and change the name called Rohit. You can see we do not have Rohit in the employee detail. See, we do not have Rohit. Let's insert one new record with name Rohit. I will have to give 8. Otherwise, again, it will throw error. Oh, yeah, need to remove comma. See, now, see all. Now we have one record called, one employee called Rohit. Now we'll perform. We'll run this SQL query. See, so we got Rahul, Priya, and Rohit. Okay, we won't do all. Why Rahul Priya didn't come before, but it came this time because we are doing all. It is also, it's just not looking for the e name. It's also looking for all the columns. If there is uh, not match between the employee detail and employee, it will keep those. So instead of all, we'll do e name. Now we'll just get Rohit. See, we just got Rohit because all the names in the employee detail is there in the employee, just Rohit is not there. So it just gave the records that exist in the first table but not in the second table. I hope you got the concept clearly. If you have any doubt, you can drop it in the comment box. So I'll try to cover it in the next video. So that's all for today. Today we learned where clause logical operators, comparison operators between in like null handling, aggregate function, group by, having, and set operators. So these concepts are very important for SQL interviews and real projects. In the next classes, we'll learn join in SQL, inner join, left join, right join, what is full join. So we'll talk about joins, which is again a very important concept in SQL. So thank you for watching and I'll see you in the next class.